All right, so SI is over. FaZe are the back-to-back champions. Congrats to them. First ever um, team of the same five players and coach to win back-to-back. Um, but not the first team overall to win back-to-back, but the first like exact same roster. So history for FaZe. Uh, quickly predictions. Um, yeah, I went with Secret because I trusted the lower bracket and I thought Secret's map pool would be a little better. But I think FaZe did what no other upper bracket team at SI has done in a long time, which would be to truly abuse the map ban advantage you get by going through the upper bracket and just picking a map that you know you're absolutely gonna win on and your opponent is not good on. And they chose Consulate. And that's like I said going into the match yesterday, is I said FaZe would probably either pick Lair or Consulate. Because even though right, Secret they destroyed G2 on Consulate, but like that was like a clear like Mowgli pop off slash really good tailored game plan against specifically G2 for that consulate, and they just Secret couldn't do that here. And yeah, FaZe a pretty calm consulate 7-4. FaZe won 4 attacks. As soon as I saw they won 4 attacks on consulate in the first half, I was like, yeah, that map's over. And then we go to FaZe Bank, and this was another map that I said, do FaZe want to ban Bank or not? Because I was like debating between, Bank or Border, and of course Border ended up getting played too. But I was debating in between. I was like, Secret huge win streak on this map, like 17 in a row. FaZe are also good on Bank, of course, but Secret kind of look unstoppable on it. So do you let it through? Um, but I think FaZe made the right choice and kept out other maps that they're definitely worse on, like Nighthaven Labs, for example. So I think that was the right choice, and it clearly was because FaZe demolished Secret on Bank today. And at this point in the final, it was looking real grim. Like it looked like Secret were just like, after beating Falcons right yesterday, it looked like that was their final for them, making the SI Grand Finals, and then they were done. Like they looked cooked. And then we head to Fortress, right? And then it gets to OT, and then multiple times it's just clutch after clutch after clutch. And for both teams, this is happening. But the crazier clutches happen for Secret, and Jum himself pretty much won this map for Secret. He clutched a 1v3 that if he lost, Secret would have lost right then and there the entire tournament. And then he clutched a 1v3 to win Secret this map, which was just, Joom just had a ridiculous fortress. But this is another map too that I was expecting this series. I figured FaZe would indeed pick a map probably like Fortress because they seem to like to play it, and Secret didn't really seem to like to play it a lot unless they were hiding stuff. And it was very clear, like once we got to overtime, especially in this game, there was nothing really that was gonna surprise these teams in terms of strats from the other teams. It was just kind of like slogging away at it, right? Just who would win the fights at the end of the day, who would execute better, right, or who would hold the crossfires better. So or who would clutch better in this case as well. Um, and yeah, finally we went to Border, and when Secret won Fortress, I was actually really concerned for the FaZe supporters because I think everyone knows that Borders is an excellent map for Secret, and yes, FaZe of course have definitely improved on Border, um, and they've been favoring playing Border a lot more this tournament, and it's been very big for them this tournament. Building that confidence on it, they've been getting a lot of practice on the Border. They play a lot of teams on Border. Um, haven't won those games because they lost at G2, they lost at the Falcons. Close maps though, right? Um, So yeah, we go into border after Secret, huge, momentum swing for them, right? And now we're looking down the barrel of a potential reverse sweep because we're heading into border, a map that, like I said, strongly favors Secret. Um, and now it's looking like they finally woken up too. So we go into the border, 4-2 half for Secret, and then Secret bring to 6-3, and then it looks like, oh no, right? We're actually gonna get Mat 5, and I wanted the Mat 5. That would have been sick. Um, but FaZe managed to claw back to overtime, and then again we go back to infinite overtime. We're going back and forth with the rounds. Um, but yeah, FaZe managed to just pull it out in the end. I think the experience really showed the kind of just the longer this went on, because how FaZe have really been through it all, the devastating loss in 24 and then winning it all last year, and now they're back here again with all that experience, and plus their playstyle too. It's honestly counter Secret kind of perfectly, because Secret really like to rely on creating pressure and hoping people move when they make that pressure. And FaZe are rock solid most of the time and don't really move a lot, um, as long as they don't think they absolutely have to. So it kind of works really good against Secret as well. Um, so yeah, FaZe end up winning here. Absolute monster performances from Handy and Cyber today. Handy, particularly Handy. He was ridiculous. Um, One thing I'll say about today's matches, I felt like I love the casters, Pengu and Dev. Um, but I've been watching this game for 10 years on the esport now. Watch Pengu, through his whole career, Dev through his whole casting career, and I definitely felt like the casting was kind of biased towards the Secret side today. And I kind of get it. Um, but yeah, I felt like there were certainly moments where Secret were getting glazed, um, for their play when they were playing good, but um, whenever FaZe did something really great, it was just like, oh yeah, FaZe, good job. When Secret did something good, it was like hype as fuck. Um, so yeah, um, not my favorite SI Grand Final cast, but not the worst, I don't think either. So yeah, and then yeah, Secret, Noah, the king of CC on border, and then of course Joom, the clutch master. Adrian was also quite clutch today, but he struggled. He's not an entry player, but like he had a lot of entry deaths. Um, so it was really rough for him on that part. And then Mowgli, yeah, bro, he kind of shit the bed. Not gonna lie. Um, if he had even just a decently better day today, this definitely could have gone 5, like easily. Savage had definitely I mean, they all had rough starts to the day, but Savage really like picked it up on Fortress and continued that into Border as well. And Joom was like really good all day today, except for on Border, he just kind of he was um, which definitely didn't help Secret either. So now that SI is over, um, soon in a couple weeks, I think, we're gonna have a Challenger League. So looking forward to that, and of course, um, I'm expecting a pretty um, interesting off season, because particularly there's a lot of changes that are gonna happen that we don't know about, but like the big implications with the Furia players mostly moving over to Liquid, and what's gonna happen there, and other potential changes with maybe Fluxo W7M as well. And then also the rosters, down beneath that didn't really make any tournaments this year, or maybe made one tournament this year, but didn't really do very well. Like particularly, I think a lot of people are looking at Loud to make changes because big org, but signed Rouser Company, who had a very surprising performance at SI last year, but they could not carry the momentum of that SI performance into the next year as they didn't make any events at all. And, of course, coming into NA, right? Big question is, 100 Thieves. Who are they? Who's going to be on that roster? Um, and I think a lot of people are looking towards Dark Zero to make changes as well. What's going to happen with whatever the fuck Cloud9 is doing? Um, Especially, with all the kind of sketchy stuff that seems to go around over there. And then EU, to be honest, I expect all the teams not named Falcon, Secret, or G2 to make changes. But who knows? Maybe even G2 or Falcons might make a change, because G2 have been internationally at least they've been on a slight downtrend. Of course, if you're G2, right, they have players you can't get rid of at all. Like Stompin should be locked up. If you're G2, you're never letting him leave unless he wants to leave. Um, then I would respect his wishes. But as long as he wants to be there, I'd keep him locked up. Alamau, because you can't get rid of him unless for some reason another top IGL becomes available somehow. And I don't see that coming. And then Falcons, right? It's they haven't won anything really besides EWC in 2024. And that was before they rerun Falcons, but the whole roster in general. But the consistency is something many teams would dream of having, even though if they're not winning anything, which is what makes it so hard for them. Because a lot of people are as well. It's who do you drop, right? If you were to, it's impossible, right? Can't get rid of Lickyfac. It's you can't get rid of Solotov because he's the main secondary shot caller. I feel like Usus is just too good of a flex player, to be honest, to even be dropped. There aren't really any other best available options, any upgrades there. Bride, right? Still kind of the classic support player, but I don't know, some guy you can really always rely on. I know a lot of people were clowning on him for that failed 1v3 attempt on Chalet against Secret, but I can't even really blame him. I mean, to start, it's a 1v3. He did bring it to a 1v1, but to be honest, he just kind of got outplayed. It wasn't really Bride's didn't really make a mistake. He when you're playing in that wine cellar, right? He knows if he lets Noah, I think it was Noah, sprint up to that door while he's in wine cellar, he's going to lose that fight. So he swings out to swing the rotate because he thinks he hears Noah, sprinting towards the wine cellar door, but it was a bait sprint and he doubled back to the rotate and then killed Bride, of course. So that was just more of a well played from Noah than Bride, in my opinion. And then the rest of EU, it's bro, all the fucking teams can make roster changes. We're all trash, bro. Besides the top three. So and then Apex a mess. Their biggest problem, of course, is org support. And then now we're gonna have a new region, China. It's gonna be a 10-team league, which will be interesting. I think all the teams will have orgs. I think we're some of the orgs that we saw in the GCV, I think it was, and the APAC SI LCQs. Particularly, I think it was For Angry Men and All Gamers are teams I expect to probably C in the China League, like just off rip. Um, and then it's going to be 8 other teams besides that, supposedly. And I think China's putting a lot of investment into Seed, so I think all the teams might have orgs in China, like right off the rip. So that'll be good. The one thing everybody's concerned about is they previewed that every region for like the upcoming majors are getting, um, you know, 4 SI spots, including China, and China being such an inexperienced region, um, you know, do they really deserve 4 major spots? But I mean, it is what it is, right? Um, at the end of the day, the best team there will win the major. So, and it gives the Chinese teams that are good enough to get to the majors, good opportunities to learn, and I think it'll give us some fun matches and some good potential upsets coming up this year. So that's exciting. And yeah, I think we done for now. Any next videos for me about Siege, at least, are going to be about probably either Challenger League, if I get invested enough into it, if I think it's interesting enough to talk about. Um, and then if not that, definitely like rumors slash roster changes, but like I won't make a rumors slash roster changes video until like we have enough substance to warrant something about that. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, thank you and have a good one.